All right, and we are live. Thank you for tuning into this video, and we're sorry that we're getting started about 20 minutes later than promised. Google has decided that it, like everything else in the universe, hates Michael and was
Yeah.
not letting him come on to the chat and not letting him do much of anything, so we had to restart it and scrap from zero. So, um, for those of you seeing this video, either now or after the fact, I am Matiram. Hopefully you know who I am since you're on my channel watching this thing. With me is Michael, one of the illustrious boys from Narrations and Lamentations. Say hi, Michael, or take a drink, either one.
Hello.
So, the purpose of this little chat is a little bit different. It's not really a Narrations and Lamentations episode or anything like that. For those who don't know, next weekend, Michael and I will be headed off to Raleigh, North Carolina, or Durham, North Carolina, I guess technically, um, for Brawler's Bash 2015. Now, this is our first tournament of any note. I did a practice tournament for Brawlers last year, but Michael's not been to a fantasy tournament ever. Did you ever go to any when you were playing 40K?
Um, yes, I did. I took the towel to it.
Okay, so not necessarily either of our first go-outs, but the whole point of this video is we're going to discuss a little bit about our thoughts on brawlers. We're going to spoil our lists. So list turn-in was a week ago, so they're locked in. We're going to talk a little bit about the sort of number of different armies that are going to be there and just generally kind of discuss what our thoughts are going into things, and hopefully it'll be an entertaining little chat for anybody who feels like watching or now or after the fact. I do plan on doing battle reports for all of my games, at least all of the games of the tournament. We may, since we got to go down there Friday, may go check out the venue early and see if there's anybody up for gaming. I probably won't do videos of those, or not videos, probably won't do battle reports for those, but we'll see. So, Michael, would you like to go ahead and get us started talking about your army?
So you want me to just rattle off what I'm bringing, or you want me to go be
Well,
catchy
why
about
don't
it?
you? Well, it depends. I mean, I'm going to out everything I'm bringing. If you feel like that is an unfair advantage for anyone who sits down to play you, you don't have to. You can kind of talk some general theories about what you're doing, but the way I figure it, neither of us has a chance to take home the gold, so we might as well spoil it and give the viewers something to chew us out about with how bad our lists are.
Okay. Then yeah, I'll just run straight through my list. Uh,
Okay.
First and foremost, there is my love, uh, lord of my dwarves. Everybody knows him, Dogum Grudgehammer. He
Mhm.
might be dead in the narrative, but he's not dead in my heart. Uh, he's basically going to be, he's kitted to be a perseverance build. So, he's got rune of speed, double rune of might, so that the bigger the thing is he fights, the better. He's also taken with him the magnificent armor of Bork Beetlebrow, so he gets the very lovely, oh, you're strength 6 or more? Well, I have a 3 or 4 now. Which also gives him the 2 up armor, which you get to increase with a shield. But, and he's also got an Oathstone with him, so that when he's in my Iron Breakers, I go, you'll never break me.
Okay.
And then we get to my lovely Thane. Everybody knows him, Oda. He's packing just normal stuff, hand weapon shield. The only big thing he's got is his Master Rune of Grungy on the banner, which gives him a 4 board, and his unit and any unit within 6 gets a 5 up ward against shooting, and I want to say it's magic missiles indirect damage, but I almost want to say it's just magic missiles.
Mhm. I think that sounds right. I think magic missile sounds right. Oh,
Yeah,
as a
I
side
think
note, I am sorry to interrupt. I am keeping an eye on the comments, so if anybody wants to leave any comments, if you have any questions or what have you, I will keep an eye on that and we'll answer any questions that people happen to have. So, continue, Michael.
Alrighty. Then next up is the runesmith. Um, he's one of my runesmiths that I have for the army. He's a random dude. Um, he's basically there to mess up spell casting. So he's got the double spell breaking rune, so that anybody that has purple sun can go, yeah, no, you do not have that spell. He's also got a rune of stone and a shield, so that I can have him basically be a fill-in for the iron breakers in case my champ goes down or something. I can throw him into the mix. And then we have the master engineer, who will be packing a another rune of stone, so he gets the +1 armor, and a rune of warding, so that I had an extra like 15 points and nothing else to buy. So I was like, oh, here you go, have this.
So that gives him, what, a 6-up?
Yeah. Basically pointless, but close enough. It'll work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got a 30-man Longbeard detachment with full command and hand weapon shield. Another 30-man Longbeard detachment with full command and great weapons. A 30-man hammer detachment that is full command and has the Master of Groth One Eye, which everyone knows is pretty much a must-have for any dwarf list. It makes me go, I'm leadership 10 and I will never break. You're going to have to kill every one of my dwarves.
Or at least down to the banner bearer.
Yes, so kit everyone but the champion. You know, will be good. And then I've got 30 man of iron breakers with full command. Always got to have them. Then I've got 2 separate cannons. One ruined up with a master of engineering and a rune of burning. And then the other one is just a master, or just a rune of engineering, or sorry, rune of forging. So he, gets rerolls for your misfires.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm got a gyrocopter, and my only rare selection is a unruined organ gun. I bet no one can guess why I took an unruined organ gun.
I think I remember you talking about something like the banner of bullshit from the High Elves.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with that, so I'm gonna have my organ gun eat them.
All right. So, I guess the one question I guess I have for you about your army setup, you obviously now have 4 combat units with 30 men in it. One of the things that you've been catching some flack for from our viewers during our practice games is that you just weren't bringing enough bodies in the units. Do you feel like the 30 man is enough is enough for those units? Do you think it gives you the bodies that you need to get the job done?
After our last couple games, the one where I played against your ogres and then the vampire count one, it makes a huge difference. Because looking back at the games, a lot of my units were down to 10 guys here and 10 guys there, which means had they been 20-man units, I would have had a unit. But the fact they were pumped up to 30 gave them that little extra cushion they needed to be able to take the hit, which I think in the long run is going to help.
Mm-hmm. So, just to interrupt with some comments, Tuna Sandwichify, who's going to be there, reminds us that Brawlers is an open list, so we might as well talk about our list since they're going to know it at the start of the game anyway.
Yeah.
Very likely so, sir, but by telling now, we are giving our opponents a full week to plan how to defeat us. Which, make no mistake, I will use as my excuse for any game that I lose at this tournament. So,
I say bring it. If you can make a list that just focuses on beating my list, you're making a skewed list, and you're going to lose the rest of the tournament.
Right. But apparently he's painting up some archive while watching us and is very excited for Brawlers. Absolutely.
Yeah.
His second question is, are we on the Wargamers USA forums? I am. I'm there as Materim. I'm more a lurker than a poster. But he says I don't think Michael is.
No.
But he says there's a dwarf player that's rolling with like 6 or 7 gyrocopters.
Yay! Somebody decided to break their list.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about my list a little bit, and then we'll talk general about sort of what armies are coming and what we're worried about, if that's good for you, Michael.
Worked for me.
All right. So everybody should know at this point I am bringing my Ogre Kingdoms. They are going to be led by my Tyrant, Tok'ran the Face Crusher. Geared up a little bit differently than I normally do, or frankly that I have in any of the practice games. He's got the Fencer's Blades, the Glittering Scales, and the Greedy Fist. Now, for those who have really been on top of things and paying attention, you'll note that is the gear out that I was giving to the Slaughtermaster, but I changed him up some. Mainly to get the Hellheart in the army, because I think I'm taking so many other soft lists. Hey, Michael, do you hear a thumping? I think it's coming from you.
Oh, it is. I was clicking on my mouth.
Yeah, stop that. It's making a super loud clicking noise. But I figure I'm taking so many soft choices, I need the Hellheart. So my next up is the Slaughtermaster, level 4, Lore of the Great Maw. He's got the Hellheart, the Talisman of Preservation, and an Iron Curse icon. Very simple, pure buff wagon, hopefully, if I get the right spells. And hopefully, in a combat unit, I'll get close enough to use the Hellheart. That's one of the things I'm probably the most worried about, because I use it so infrequently. I don't have a lot of practice with sort of knowing how close I should get before I trigger it and stuff like that. So it should be interesting. Next, I have my Bruiser, pretty standard battle standard bearer with a great weapon, and he has the Dragonhide banner on him, which is my auto-include banner. And then I got a Firebelly, level 2 Lore of Fire with the Dispel Scroll. Mainly, my Scroll Caddy gives me another access to flaming attacks, though I do have to say I was sorely tempted to take him on Lore of Undeath, just for kicks. I ultimately decided against it for no other reason than I didn't feel like bringing an entire other army for crap to summon with me. So, then I've got a 3-man unit of ogres with full command. Basically, chaff plus having fortitude with them will let me try and get some benefits from the scenarios. I've got a unit of 9 ogres with full command, and both of the ogre units have iron fists. Then I've got a unit of 7 iron guts with full command, and they have the standard of discipline. And I'm going to probably be putting my tyrant there most of the time, so that will give me leadership 10 rerollable within the bubble. So you can't really say no to that. Then I've got 6 man-eaters with full command, ogre pistol, the Banner of Eternal Flame, and they have poison attacks and swift stride. Then I've got 2 individual units of 1 saber tusk each, 6 lead belchers with bellower, my 3 yetis. Woo! I figure they actually might be helpful, given the likely prevalence of Lore of Undeath and ethereal stuff just popping out of nowhere. Actually having a unit that has magical attacks could be kind of nice. Another thing that doesn't show up often in my list is the Gorger, and I'm bringing one of them. And I'm really kind of hoping that I remember to bring it into play. I'm really terrible about forgetting ambushers. My guess is I will forget it at least 2 games during the tournament out of 5. So and then I did decide to leave the cannon at home, and in its place I'm bringing a second unit of 3 man-eaters with additional hand weapon and immune to psychology and scouts. So the idea is get them into some place where they can start causing trouble ASAP. Maybe get into an opponent's war machine, something like that. We'll see. Uh, Ultimately, I figured, though, that I'm terrible with cannons, and I only own one. So the likelihood of it doing anything is very, very small. So I figured I'd go with more bodies and cause some trouble that way. So, any questions regarding my list, Michael? I don't know if you wanted to ask anything we could chat about.
You're a tyrant. Did you take his packing ward save or not?
He gets the 6-up ward save that the Greedy Fist gives him, but that's it. So he's ideally he's just there to kill rank and file.
Yeah.
He's just got a 6-up armor save, 6-up ward save. He's gonna die pretty easily. The thing that kind of keeps him alive is he's got that weapon skill 10 and the -1 to hit him.
Yeah.
So I think he'll do better against just kind of hucking him into rank and file. But we'll see. Like I said, that's normally the build I use with the Slaughtermaster, but I needed the Slaughtermaster opened up to get the Hellheart in. So
I would say be cautious around units that have poison, as they're gonna be looking for 6 to hit you anyways.
well, yeah, the units that I have poison, he'll stay in the back rank or in the second rank. And ideally, any unit that's got poison, I'll be throwing my Slaughtermaster's unit into anyway, because he's immune to poison. He can step up and just kind of block poison attacks. At least that's the thought. It's worked for me in the past. We'll see if it works in the future or at this tournament. So that being the case, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be facing. So let me find it. All right, to give you guys an idea of the breakdown for Brawlers. First of all, to no big surprise, there are no Beastmen or Tomb Kings at Brawlers at all. We were going to break that a little bit if Skip had been there. He would have he would have been the one Tomb King. There are, however, 2 other armies that there are only one person of. There's only 1 Chaos Dwarves and 1 Wood Elves. And the interesting thing that they've announced on the Wargamers USA is that the Wood Elves and the Chaos Dwarves are going to be competing for sort of best of the rest, is how I think they called it. Whichever, if the Wood Elf or the Chaos Dwarf wins, whichever one of them does better in the tournament, will get best general for both Wood Elves and Chaos Dwarves. So it was very strange. But it kind of made me laugh that that's how they're doing it. But, there are actually going to be 2 Bretonnians, which kind of surprised me, though I can imagine it's probably going to be a lot of character wall shenanigans. Only 2 demon armies, too. Only 2 Dark Elf armies. Now, this was kind of the biggest surprise. There is a tie for most represented army at the tournament, and it's between Dwarfs and Empire with 7 players each, which kind of blew my mind a little bit. There are only 3 High Elf players, and only 2 Elf Legion players. So altogether, there's only 8 out of the total. I think it's 50 something that are actually elves. So that's a little bit surprising. Now, what's somewhat more worrying is that there are 5 Legions of Chaos players, 4 Lizard Men, 5 Orc and Goblin, 6 Ogre players, 5 Skaven players. And I am almost certain that we're going to see every damn one of them with those new Storm Fiend Space Marine things. And then there's going to be 6 Undead Legions and 5 Vampire Counts players. So, yeah, 11 armies, almost a quarter of the total armies there are going to be undead, which has me very, very nervous. I'm imagining a lot of Scream lists, probably heavy use of Lore of Undeath to just summon crazy and I'm sure we're going to be seeing a heck of a lot of Caskets of Souls. Now, that being said, the tournament has this weird comp for legions, which, like, for any of the legions list, you have to choose, like, a primary army out of that list, and you're restricted in what you can take from the other lists of that legion based on the number of points you spent in your primary legion. So I think there's probably some crazy ways to break it that I just haven't thought about yet, but it's definitely going to be a very strange set of builds because of that rule, I think. And apparently, speaking of which, apparently Tuna Sandwichify says he and his other VC buddy are certainly taking Undeath. The fact that summon units are not counting for victory points makes Undeath an almost auto take. And he notes that the Masters is won by TK with Lord of Undeath. Yeah, I know that. But yeah, we got to be very wary against the armies that take it with free chaff and ethereal stuff. And to be honest, to a certain degree, I'm not super worried about that so much, because the idea is my army is going to be very, very aggressive. So if an Undeath Lore army doesn't get a phenomenal first or second turn magic, I'm going to be up in their face anyway. So that's just I'm going to try and take the ogre tactic of overwhelming clever strategy by just raw brute force and see how well that works for me. What about you, Michael? What's your general thoughts on how to deal with what is likely to be a plethora of Lore of Undeath?
I didn't bring enough runes.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, I've only got one character that can, frankly, step up and handle anything that's ethereal, and then 2 cannons.
Yeah. On the other hand, are you really going to be like super move forward aggressive, so the chaffing might not necessarily matter?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm dealing with Lore of Undeath, I want to play more aggressive dwarves, but if I'm dealing with Lore of Undeath, I can't afford to.
Yeah.
As the chaff will screw me up more than it screw you up because my movement's so slow anyways. And if I go marching forward and they send one of my big units way off into the corner of La La Land, I'm down a unit. That'll never get back into the fight.
Yeah. I tell you, I think I'm more worried about like random screamers popping up, either the banshees or the terrorgeist, stuff like that. And generally anything that's going to attack my leadership, because outside of the bubble, my leadership's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So I could see like Death Undeath Screamer, like a dual mage thing going on where you're doom and darknessing and then screaming people off could be obnoxious. But
yeah,
like
Screamers
I said,
for you are going to be terrible. For me, not so bad.
Yeah. Well, let's ask this before we get too far into this. What are your predictions for how you're going to do?
I'm just hoping to go like 3-2, win 3, lose 2. I'd be okay with that.
I've actually decided to put my sort of prediction in more Brawlers terms. I want to average getting 1,500 points a game. That sounds very small, but given that my army is very much going to be either a win big or lose big proposition, I think the idea of getting half my opponent's points per game on average is maybe a bit conservative, but I think it's an accomplishable goal.
Hey, 1,500 is a good goal. I'm happy to get 1,500.
Right. Of course, 1,500 I don't even think will put us in the top half of the 53 people. I mean, really,
I wouldn't be surprised if we're fighting each other at the last game in the
yeah,
very bottom table.
I would hope not, because I mean, as much as I enjoy playing you, I think the whole point of going to one of these events is to play other folks. But I'm pretty sure, like my first game, I know because it's a grudge match, I'm going to be playing against Once Bitten, and I'm fair certain he's going to pound me into the ground like a garden stake. So I figure I'll be on the bottom half of the
Yeah.
tables from like game 2. But who knows? Maybe like I'll hit somebody at the bottom tables with a more quirky list than mine, and I'll shoot right back up. I'll play ping pong all game. I don't know.
No.
So
If you get smashed by a mango squig, I'm gonna laugh my ass off.
my wife is sitting here on the other side of the computer. She says if I get smashed by a mangler squig, she's gonna laugh her ass off. It's possible there are
Could happen.
That's why I'm saying it.
5 orc and goblin armies. So
They've probably got manglers.
yeah. So given the spread of what we just talked about in terms of what armies are going to be there, what is the most worrying thing for you as you sit and consider your army list? What matchups are you not looking forward to?
The only real big worries I have are, having mentioned the mangler squigs, are really coming from the orcs and goblins with their fanatics and their manglers. They're unanswerable. They're either gonna, because how dwarf lines set up, if one of them throws a fanatics into my line, and then it's gonna sit there and bounce through my line.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to protect against that. It's not counted as shooting, so they'll tear up my line really quick. Manglers will do the same thing.
And
If
other
it's
than your
equal-
war machines, you don't really have any shooting. Like you didn't bring any Iron Drakes or any Thunderers or
Nope.
anything like that,
War
are you?
machines, combat bricks.
Huh.
Yeah, like ethereal and whatnot, I can deal with. I've got ranks, and my ranks are gonna go slower than they are, so I can kill them just straight out combat res. It's things that I can't answer wounds to. Like if I'm in combat, I can deal with. Elves, they're not gonna do enough damage output to really kill me because of my armor and my toughness.
Well, unless you catch like a White Lion's brick to the face.
Even White Lion brick, I can hit them with my hammers. My hammers are better. White Lions are strength 6 with 1 attack. I'm strength 6 with 2 attacks.
They do have rerolls though to hit, so they're going to be doing.
No, they're great weapons. Always try first. They get to hit before me, but I'll do more damage output than they will.
See, you've been thinking about that more than I have. The elf.
I have the
Right. The elf units worry me, but then again, I think that comes in a lot to my general fear of high elves. On the plus side, we've only got 5 armies that could potentially have high elves in them, so 1/10 of the list.
Yeah.
I tell you, I'm really afraid of those 7 dwarf armies. I think those are going to be my worst matchups because I'm fairly certain that that 6 of those 7, not including only yourself, are going to be packing double organ guns, and I'm just going to get my army annihilated.
I'll be honest. I don't want to face dwarves my first game.
Oh, why is that?
Well, I mean, when I'm fighting another dwarf army, it like I told you before, it comes down to whose war machines shoot better. And if they're packing double organ gun, double cannon, they're gonna eat me.
Right. So, have you've I sent you the Brawler's Bash player pack a while ago. Have you had a chance to look at the different scenarios yet? Like really take a peek at them?
Not really. I mean, I've skimmed over them. We've played a couple, so I kind of know how they work.
Okay.
I don't want to play the Leprechaun one again.
Yeah. So let's go through them sort of one by one, and we'll talk a little bit about what we expect and how to deal with them. So the first scenario is called Guardians of the Leprechaun. It's basically a battle line, but in the center is a mountain chimera that is unbreakable, never moves, never loses frenzy or uses its breath weapon. In addition to the normal game, you get 200 victory points if you can keep your opponent from getting a unit of fortitude into your deployment zone. You get 200 points if you can get a unit with Fortitude alive in your opponent's deployment zone at end of game. Both players get 200 points if the Chimera is dead, and the player who gets the most wounds on the Chimera does 300 additional victory points. So what do you think your plan is in kind of tackling this scenario? Are you going to engage the scenario objectives? Are you going to ignore them? What's your thoughts?
Frankly, as long as I'm not dealing with a dwarf list where they've got cannons sitting on the board, or I'm dealing with another army that has a bunch of cannons sitting on the board, like I mean, if they got one or two, okay, I can take that hit. But I'm gonna just try and launch a cannonball or two into the Chimera, because I don't have to kill it. I just have to do the most wounds to it. So if I can do 6 wounds to it, I don't ever have to touch it again. I'll leave my opponent to do that. Because then I've already claimed the 300 points, and if they kill it, I get an extra 200. If not, I keep the 300.
Right. See, my thought is that this is one I'm probably just going to ignore, because I know this is the game I'm going to be playing against Once Bitten, and he's bringing Empire. So he's going to have me just totally outclassed when it comes to shooting, almost certainly.
Yeah.
So I think my whole thought would be probably to ignore the Chimera, at least initially, and just get up in his face. Depending upon whether he's doing like a foot-based Empire or a mounted Empire, I may have more or less success in doing that. But I don't really think the 300 victory points for me doing the most wounds to the Mountain Chimera is A, likely to happen, because it means I'm going to have to get into combat with the damn thing, and I don't want to do that. And B, I think it'll be more important for me to try and make sort of my end run to his goal and just smash as many Humies as I can get under my gut. So... And apparently Alicia says, Demigriff's gonna eat your face. Very likely, actually.
Just make sure they redirect into the Chimera. Or overrun into the Chimera.
Well, the problem is they're not frenzied, so they're not going to overrun if they have to do that. My big concern, actually, is I have very little to deal with really high armor save. I was kind of planning for things to be weighted a little bit more towards elves than they apparently seem to be. So being that that's not the case, I kind of put too many eggs in one basket. So I don't have nearly enough great weapons or high strength hits. So that's going to make me very, very nervous, just in general. So number 2 is Operation Nesting Ball. And this one is just very strange. Basically, it's a battle line scenario, but in the center, there starts off with a Gary Busey token. And it's basically this weird demon. You got to kill it off, but you only get victory points if you kill it after turn 1. And if you kill it, then it gets replaced by a Mel Gibson token that like flies around the board and beats the hell out of people. Then if you kill that one, you get victory points, and a Tom Cruise token takes its place. And a Tom Cruise token just like flames everybody. And if you kill him, you get less victory points. So it's very strange. What are your thoughts on that one, Michael?
That's one of the scenarios that I'm going to try to ignore because it's so weird.
Well, I'm thinking that actually might not be a terrible scenario for me, because they're just individual model tokens, and looking at the stats on them, if I could hit with like one of my big units, maybe not the Gary Busey one because he's like strength 6, toughness 6, I might use my man-eaters to poison him to death, but like once he gets down to like Mel Gibson and Tom Cruise, eating ogre charges to the face is just going to bust that. Big problem is it's not a lot of victory points. And that in and of itself may be a good tactic, is knowing that the more serious players are going to be going for those victory points because you got to squeeze everyone you can. Maybe just ignore them and go for the throat instead. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if I realize I'm not going to ever get in combat with them because they're faster than me.
Right.
So while my opponent's dealing with them, I'll go run to my opponent, and he can take charges from dwarves.
That makes sense. So the next one, the game 3, which is going to be the last game of day 1, is the one I think we're both really nervous about going up against. And it's the last one we played in our practice, Leprechaun Power Over 9,000. In this one, it's a battle line deployment. There's a Leprechaun token in the middle of the board that is impassable. And at the end of every game turn, it casts Final Transmutation on every unit within 6 inches. The spell can't be dispelled, and the units affected by the Final Transmutation do not cause stupidity in other units. But you get 100 victory points at the end of each game turn that you have a unit of Fortitude within 6 inches. Ooh, I think we played that wrong. I'm noticing game turn. I don't know if anybody knows, Tuna. If you're paying attention to this, it says at the end of every game turn. So that's not each player's turn. It's like after bottom of turn 1, it hits everybody with Final Trans.
And then you gain 100 points.
Right. And then you get. Then at the end, you get 300 victory points if you have the largest unit with Fortitude by model count within 6 inches of it at the end of the game. So yeah, I think that might be a little less terrifying than we played it as, frankly.
Yeah.
So that might be a little more handleable. I still don't know that I like feeding myself up on a plate to lore or to Final Transmutation, but
What about both?
it won't be it won't necessarily be as bad as I think we played it.
Yeah, I'm still gonna ignore it until the last turn.
That may be a better way to do it, I think. I don't know. I would like the idea that my opponent's going to like walk up to it and get Final Trans, and then I just smash what's left.
Yeah, take all their victory points and then gain points for holding it.
Well, and the thing that I think makes it a little bit different and that we're not used to is that in this tournament, the way the scoring's done is if you get a unit under 25% of their starting models, you get half credit for it. Whereas we're more used to, unless it's dead,
it don't count.
It don't count. So there's a lot of things that I think we're going to have to get used to in terms of how this tournament is scored.
Yeah.
So that would bring us to the end of day 1. Day 2 starts off with, and I quote, the very necessary Blood and Glory scenario. Standard Blood and Glory. First player to break their opponent's Fortitude receives an additional 1,000 victory points. Second player to break their opponent's Fortitude receives an additional 500 victory points. So, what's your thoughts going into this one?
I like Blood and Glory.
Oh?
I'm dwarves. You have to kill me to a man to break my unit. Which means I have a very good sense of just being able to break my opponent before they break me.
That's not necessarily a bad way of looking at it. I like Blood and Glory just because you start off a little closer to your opponent. So the chances of me getting some early ogre charges might be kind of nice, but I don't think Blood and Glory really changes the way I'm going to be doing anything tactically, though. I think for me, it's still my one answer to something is going to be rush at it and hit it with my gut as hard as I can.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much the way I tend to live daily life, so it's all right. I have practice with those tactics. So I think so. It's hard won, but it's kind of fun doing it that way. Yeah. Yeah, Tuna Sandwichify does agree with us that it is after every game turn, not player turn, so it's much less scary. However, he does point out, and I knew this when I first looked at this scenario, that the undead are going to get points for that one hand over fist.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, they're just going to invocate themselves back up.
Oh no, I lost 20 models. Well, I gained 20 models.
Yeah.
Requires magic rolls.
Like I said, I ultimately think my prediction is that an undead legion or a vampire count army is going to win the whole thing. That's my estimation. Now it's entirely possible that like some crazy other list could come out of it, but just seeing what the lore of undeath can do and what the general vampire lores and stuff can do, that's my prediction.
I want the Wood Elves to win now. Just the entire tournament. Like, yes, I won 2 best generals in the entire tournament. I am the greatest.
I'll be honest with you. I think the chances of the Wood Elves actually winning are slim to none. I would love to see it too. I would be rolling on the floor laughing during the awards ceremony if that's what happens. I just have a hard time seeing them being able to do enough damage to get the points that they need to really do well at Brawlers.
Oh yeah, their list based off of winning 100, 110 points just to win a game.
Yeah,
and not
I mean, I guess theoretically you could do like a lot of shooting and go death magic with your main characters, and then just have like a big old brick of Wild Riders or something to clean shit up when you're done. But I don't know. I haven't seen a Wood Elf list yet that's aggressive enough, I think, to take the whole tournament.
Yeah.
Now watch me say that in round 2. I'm just gonna get flattened by the Wood Elves. But of course, frankly, with the butt kicking I'm gonna get in round 1, if they're fighting me round 2, they've already screwed the pooch. So
yeah.
And I'll go ahead and say this. I mean, we've made sort of a play to try and think of this tactically and go in and try and make our best lists. And I'm sure anyone who is actually a tournament player that's watching this is laughing at that, having heard our lists. But I think both of us agreed that our real goal for this is to just go in, play 5 games of Warhammer, meet some new people we've never met before, and just have a good weekend. Just kind of go in there with a positive attitude, and come whatever happens, we're just going to have fun with it and have a good couple of days. So that's really our main goal, I think.
Josh?
Yes, sir.
I just realized there's 7 dwarves. They're fucking Snow White.
Okay, that was awesome.
I just like
7 dwarves and Brawlers.
Like, yeah.
So which one are you? If there's 7 dwarves, you lay claim to your nickname now.
Let's see. Is there Drunky? Can I be Drunky?
Drunky. I was going to go with one of the actual 8 or 7 dwarves from the story, yeah. But I guess.
Well, I'm not grumpy enough. You know what? You
think so.
I'll be grumpy.
I think you're more appropriately being sleepy. I guess that's maybe more if they called him lazy, but.
I was hoping there was one called that, but they don't give me the right name.
That's funny that there's 7 dwarves at the tournament. Okay, let's get into this 5th scenario. So the 5th scenario is actually the one I'm looking forward the most. It's the Ides of March. Each player gets to add a leprechaun assassin to their army and must use a model to represent this character. The leprechaun assassin has pretty great stats. It also has always strikes first, poison attacks, and killing blow. And it can be placed on a 20, 25, or 40 mil base, depending upon what you want it to be. And this one is all about killing characters. You get 100 additional victory points for every enemy slain. That doubles if you slay the character in a challenge. You gain 200 points for every character your assassin model slays. And you gain 300 victory points if your assassin model slays the enemy general. So it's all about just getting in there and murdering some dudes, and I'm really looking forward to that because I feel like that's my strength. I want to
Yeah.
get in there and murder some dudes.
You kill the general with your assassin, that's an extra 600 points. Because you kill a character with an assassin, and kill the general.
Yeah, I think that's how that works. I don't know. It might be an either or thing.
Yeah.
It might be It might be like you don't get it for killing the character. You get the 300 instead of the 200.
Yeah, but I'd almost say I would like, 'cause most people's generals are rock hard, and that assassin doesn't have any magic to him.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, just it depends. I think it depends on what army you come up against, because I think like the assassin is going to be really good against non-ogre armies. But
Yeah.
against an ogre army, I mean, you don't get killing blow. Depending upon who you're trying to fight, if you're going after slaughter masters, you don't get your poison attacks, so you get always strikes first, which is okay, but you're only strength 4.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about that one. I think that's actually one of the ones I'm going to have a strong showing in. At least I hope so. Of course, it'll probably be against you at the bottom table. So.
Damn it, my assassin will be useless.
Right. So the other thing that kind of makes Brawlers a little interesting is that they have these scenario cards. I don't know what they actually call them. Let me look at it here. Yeah, scenario cards. And you have to choose one of the scenarios to play at each game, and you can't use the same one more than once. Have you had a chance to look at these yet, Michael?
No, I know one could do automatic first turn.
Right. So, well, I'll go over it for your benefit as well as the folks listening at home who don't know how Brawlers is run. Really, the way it works is that after deployment is done, but before scouts are placed, which I think is interesting, each player must choose the strategy card from those they have remaining and place it on the table. You have to play one every round, and each card can only be used once. And the cards must be turned in when your results are reported, I guess, to make sure nobody's going to like do the same one over and over again. But basically what it does is it gives you an additional way of, each one gives you an additional way of getting victory points and an additional special rule that happens during the game. So like card number 1, you get 500 victory points if you can control more table quarters than your opponent at the end of the game with fortitude. But the special rules that you get is that one core unit or solo character gets to Vanguard. And I'm like, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for letting me throw my iron guts 12 inches straight forward. Then number 2 is you get 500 points if your opponent's most expensive unit or model that's not a character is below half its starting wounds at the end of the battle. And that's the one that lets you automatically go first. Or I guess technically it lets you automatically choose whether you or your opponent will go first. But if both players play that card, then you roll off as per normal. Then there's number 3, you get an additional 500 victory points for killing the general. And they note that killing means the opponent's general not being alive for any reason at the end of the game. But it gives you +1 leadership for your general to a max of 10 for one turn, which is kind of cool.
It's nice for anybody that doesn't have automatic leadership 10.
Yeah. I mean, it might be, yeah, I'm not sure how I would use it, but... so number 4 is you get 500 victory points for having all of your Dispel or Power Dice generating characters and units alive at the end of the game. If you have none of either to start with, you automatically get these points.
Nice.
The special rule for that one is on the first turn of the game, all your opponent's spells miscast on double ones as well as double sixes. But double ones don't cause irresistible force.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to reserve that one for my first Lore of Undeath player. Because if I can hold them off on turn one, I can be in their face by turn two. I'm feeling confident in that.
I want to see the face of somebody that double ones a spell, and then rolls the one where they make the huge pie plate and suck themselves into a vortex, and just like, "Ew," in your army crumbles.
I got to admit, I would be mildly amused at that one too.
No undeath for you.
Yeah. So then the fifth one is Live to Fight Another Day. You get 500 victory points for having a unit successfully, i.e. is not caught that turn, flee from a charge. If you have no units capable of fleeing, then you earn 500 victory points if one of your characters refuses a challenge. And the special rule to that one is you add D3 inches to one flee reaction during the battle. But you have to declare it before rolling any dice. Awesome. That one is, I probably can easily get it by like fleeing with a saber tusk.
Yeah.
And then number 6, whoops. And note, there's only 5 games, but there is a 6th card. It's called Your Lucky Day. You get it once during the tournament. And basically the way it works is that before any 2d6 roll is made, though not before a reroll such as given by a battle standard bearer, you may play your Lucky Day card. This automatically makes the result of the roll a 7 without rolling the dice. It can be used to change 2 dice. It cannot be used to change 2 dice within a number of other dice. It must be a straight 2d6 roll and not 3d6, but Lizardmen can use it for leadership tests. You may not use it for Winds of Magic, and it may only affect the dice of the person playing the card. So that's cool. But the other option of it is the alternate use of Lucky Day lets you cancel the special rules of your opponent's scenario card. They still have the opportunity to get the bonus, like the bonus victory points, but they wouldn't get the bonus rule.
That's nice.
Yeah. I have no idea how I'm going to use that, but
I don't either.
It's interesting. I think like my only worry, and this is purely from our inexperience, is that there's just so many moving parts to this tournament. I fully expect. I mean, not only do you have the normal rules of the game, but then you got the Masters FAQ that they're using, which is all sorts of screwed up. Or I guess screwed up is not necessarily the term to use. It is like super finitely detailed. The other question I got to ask, and I got to go back through this thing and find out. I was watching some of Once Bitten's battle reports, and he was talking about hills basically just flat out blocking line of sight no matter how they are. I got to see if that applies here. Because that could mean a lot of things. So, where are you? But I don't know if it applies here. I know they did like buildings are considered 3 stories, and you can only fit 30 dudes in them, and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think they say anything about hills, but I don't know if that's in the Masters FAQ. If anybody who's happened to watch knows if that's how Masters FAQs hills, that would be awesome, because that FAQ is like 1 billion pages long, and I would very much rather not have to go digging through it if somebody else knows the point, the idea off the top of their head. So, what do you think about the scenarios? I guess I've been talking an awful lot. What are your impressions on them and the scenario cards?
The scenario cards add interesting effects, but like you said, it's a lot more moving parts. And I know I'm gonna get really confused about halfway into it. That and I think 2 of the cards flat out are just useless for me.
Oh.
Like, I mean, the victory point part will be nice, but like the whole 2d6 reroll leadership. I'm
Well, no,
leadership
it's
10.
it's 2d6 reroll. It's any 2d6 roll. So I mean,
Yeah,
leadership
even
is.
then, I mean,
Yeah, I can't think of any other. Well, yeah, because it's not d6 are not artillery dice. Um,
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't have a huge like weight there, so it's kind of useless to me. And
I
the
think that one will
now
probably be.
the canceling part would be nice,
Yeah, I foresee that being the way you end up using that rather than.
and the bonus to leadership. That
Yeah. Well,
I'm leadership 10.
I could see you doing that one to like cancel whoever's going to pop the Vanguard thing against you,
Yeah,
because you definitely don't want.
no, I do not.
Yeah, definitely don't want Vanguards to get in the way of your shooting.
No, I would thoroughly dislike that happening.
Right. So, next part we're going to talk about is painting. So, first question, are you going to get all your models painted by then?
Uh, After tomorrow, I'll be down to 10.
Fantastic. Good show.
I mean,
Um,
I'll have the 10, and then I've got to base all the ones I've got, but that'll take me frankly like 3 hours to do. That'll be me sit down for a couple hours and go, oh, glue, grass, glue, grass, glue, grass.
that's good. Yeah, Alicia's helping me with the like we're snowing up all the bases on my ogres, so they're not just going to look like normal bases with like that white glittery sand for snow on it. So we'll see how well
That's
it pulls
cool.
everything together. Um, are you doing a display board?
Oh, right. We gotta do this one.
Yeah, that's another thing she's helping me
Uh,
with. I'm like, we're less than a
oh,
week away. I'm starting. It's like remembering all this other crap to do. Like this week, I gotta go. I'm gonna actually get a little name plaque because you get an extra painting point for that, and like there's just a lot of random stuff you get extra painting points for.
where the heck? Where would I even get a name plaque from?
Uh, I'm gonna go to the trophy shop on Main Street here in Jamestown. It's one right like across the street from my barber. It's like a little. I think it's called Triad Trophy and Gifts or something.
Oh, I know what you're
Unintended
talking
plug
about.
for.
Yeah.
um,
You have no idea if they even sell nameplates.
well, I know they do engraving, so I'm hoping they'll do nameplates. So we'll see.
What are
I
you
gotta
using for your
go.
display board?
What?
What are you using for your display board?
We've actually got one of those fold-out cardboard boards for like science fair projects, and it's going to get cut down and some insulation foam to make like mountain walls and stuff. So, yeah. Oh, and we're doing like the that ogre yurt have the terrain piece. That's going to be like in the center of it, and some of the legs or the maw pieces from the maw pit that Black Terrain or Black Tower Terrain did for me. So
That look cool.
yeah, enough accent pieces. It should be pretty neat. So we'll see how it works. I definitely don't think I'm going to hit top marks in painting, but like I've
I
got
won't either.
enough. Yeah, like I've got enough with like I think I'll get like the decent painting points, but I did like there's a number of pretty significant conversions in the army with all the man eaters and that sort of stuff. So I'm I'll see how that goes. So are you going to be submitting any like you get to submit one model to the painting competition? Are you going to be doing that?
I mean, I might as well, but I don't plan on winning it.
Yeah. I don't know. I may just put in my undead man-eater for it because I think that's one of the best things I've got painted there. Since it's got to be something that I painted. It's not like I can
Right.
bring something of Alicia's and be like,
I win.
yeah. That would be decidedly unfair. um, She's grumbling about that over here. Like, come on, seriously. uh, and then sportsmanship. Hopefully, like, we'll do well on sportsmanship since we're essentially making, or at least I'm essentially making an army list that's going to be gifting my opponent victory points to the tune of like 5,000 a game. But we'll see.
I should get sportsmanship just for not double organ gunning it.
Yeah. So, obviously, there's going to be like places for first through third, best overall, general, and painted, and sportsman. Then there's best hobbyist, which is like you add your sportsmanship plus your painting, which is weird.
Yeah.
Then there's like the first and second place single model painting that's chosen by player voting. Then there's the best assassin model. Oh, have you done your leprechaun assassin model yet?
I've got to finish the base on them. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, and so that, like, the TOs choose that. Then there's going to be like a player's choice thing for best painted army. And then there's a couple of ones that I thought were very interesting. There's the Bash Berserker, which is the player who kills the most enemy characters during the tournament.
Oh, I want that. I want to kill characters.
And then there's the Bash Brute, who kills the most enemy monsters during the tournament.
I also want that one.
And then there's the best race for each race, which is just like all your points get added together, and if you're the best in your race, you get that one. And then there's the top club, which unfortunately, because Skip couldn't come with us, highest scoring club is like the combination of the club's 3 highest total scores. We only have 2 scores to add to ours, so the likelihood of getting anywhere close. We may end up getting the lowest point scoring club. That should be it. That should be an
Yeah, that was fun.
I want to be at the very bottom. Actually, I don't want to be at the very bottom. Okay. So apparently, Tuna Sandwichify says in previous Brawlers Bash, they've played the hills infinitely high. And he's pretty sure that that's how they're running it this year as well. So that... That's a good question. So the question now is how do you ever get to the top of a hill that's infinitely high? I'm going to assume that they just sort of hand wave that, and it's like, if you move it, you like get in, and then the magic hill elevator takes you all the way to the top.
Well, dwarves make those, you know.
What?
Dwarves make magic hill elevators, right?
Oh, did you? The dwarves apparently made magic hill elevators. I wouldn't have expected it to be magic from the dwarves, but...
It's runic magic. Got a little copyright engraving on it.
Right. So that's pretty much Brawler's Bash. So what are you thinking? I mean, what are your general thoughts of what we have, Busman?
We're gonna die, and I'm gonna cover it up by drinking.
Right. So bring enough money to pay for your alcohol through the week.
But it should be a lot of fun. I'm really hoping to play some Skaven and Orcs and Goblins since I'm going to play them that often.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I would like to... I don't know if I would say I want to play Skaven given the likelihood that the freaking Storm Fiends are going to be there and those things are busted. But I would like to see some Orcs and Goblins. I don't get to play them much either. What other armies would I like to see? I honestly, even though they'd probably kick my team, I'd love to get the opportunity to play against the Chaos Dwarves.
Yeah.
Because I haven't played against them. Though the likelihood that I'll get matched up to them is pretty minimal. Because it's only one dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like there's some that I would want to play because I think we don't play them much and it would be fun. But most of the ones that I think that's the case, I feel like would be bad matchups for me. Like, I'd like to play against the Wood Elves too, but I think that would be a very bad matchup for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to, just because I'm in such of a lizard man mindset, play against the lizard men. And I did pretty good in the last year's tournament that I went to that was a Brawlers Bash Prep. I went against a Vampire Counts list, a Lizard Man list, and a Warriors of Chaos list. And the only one I lost against was the Warriors list because he just purple sunned me into non-existence.
Right.
So I'm hoping I can kind of avoid some chaos. Like that would be nice. Like I could take the demons list, I'd be happy against those, but I'm really nervous about the being purple sunned off the board again, I guess.
Yeah. I want to face the Skaven Storm Vermin guys. I want to face their Space Marine guys, and I don't even want to face them on the table. I want them to roll just really bad and then scatter off the table and get lost and just claim automatic points from them and go, ha, that's what you get.
I don't think that's the way they work, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think they just get to come up wherever the hell they want to. I don't think they're like Tomb Kings where you can like get them lost. I think they just show the hell up.
Then I want him to roll 18 ones when he gets ready to fire, and then all of them miss, and I turn around with the organ gun, just open up, and they scatter off the board.
I think you and I need to have a talk about statistics again.
No. Statistics be damned.
Tuna Sandwich Pie specifies that they're considered infinitely tall for line of sight, not actually getting to the top. And then he sticks his tongue out at us. It's all right. That was a valid question for those of us who are fluff-minded and not at all tournament players.
I was really hoping that it would just be infinitely tall, and the dwarves would have something in Warhammer now.
What, the infinitely tall hill elevators?
Yeah, we'd be forever. We'd be dead,
right.
But we'd be forever.
Everybody's from India's for 3 minutes. Constantly rolling the rock uphill that they will hurt me.
It's not Prometheus.
It's not Prometheus, it's
Alicia's bladder. I'm trying not to get distracted because I know you can't hear her. So I'm like, it makes me sound like I'm crazy just randomly like answering comments that no one hears. Yeah, so I think unless you got anything else you want to comment on, I think we've covered pretty much everything that we were going to talk about.
Yeah. Go dwarves.
So I was as a last little point, did we want to take a bet on which one of us is going to perform better?
An actual bet?
I don't know, something. I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be like Munchie, but we show up on YouTube once a week. We can do a shame bet. If you
shoe on the head. Shoe on the head.
Alicia says shoe on the head. I was thinking goofy hat or something. I'm not sure what.
I'm not about to find a goofy hat, but yeah. I'll take you up on the wager for that.
Fantastic. So I guess we'll announce later. We'll think about what our wager is going to be. Actually, let's do that. Let's make it a goofy hat wager.
Okay.
So
I'm good with that.
Whichever one wins gets the better gets the better total overall. Goes out and purchases the strangest, goofiest whatever to put on the other person's head. And what do you say? We have to wear it for 2, 3 shows?
Let's go 3 shows.
3 shows. All right. So that is our bet. Goofy hat bet for 3 straight weeks of shows for the loser. So awesome. Well, I think this is about where we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody who has been commenting. I miss Doom and Darkness. Also wished us best of luck, and he looks forward to the bat reps. Thank you, Tuna Sandwichify, for getting us straight on some stuff. I'm actually really looking forward to meeting you face to face. Should be a lot of fun. And Skip says that we should have taken his Tomb Kings to Brawlers. I don't know, man. My first big tournament, I would feel bad if I wasn't taking the Fat Boys.
Yeah,
Like
I
I
feel bad
gotta
for taking
take the
dwarves.
Fat Boys.
You can take them in your car. They're rooting for them. They see the tournament.
Alicia says we can take them in the car because there's room for them. We can at least show them the tournament venue.
This is where you would play.
Oh, look at what you participate in. Wow, that would be dirty.
Yeah, that would be super dirty.
And she picks on me she gets on me for picking on Skip. It's like, that's mean. I'm supposed to take his army list without him? That's just wrong.
I want that to
All
happen
right,
now.
well, thank you everybody for watching this. I hope we were at least entertaining. I think we ran for, goodness, a little over an hour, so I think that was good. Michael, any last comments?
I hope to meet the 6 other dwarves of the 7 dwarf party at Brawlers. Know that I hate all of you right now because you made it 7 dwarves and
Oh,
so many jokes.
yeah. I get the feeling if I win that hat thing, it's going to be a Snow White mask for you, just for the record.
Jesus Christ.
I'll have to go find the good one. All right, well, goodbye, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week on Narrations and Lamentations with Matiram and the Boys. Bye-bye, everybody.